Good afternoon. Quote, life is a journey. Day by day we learn more and this is just the beginning of our journey. Unquote. Good afternoon and welcome back to the valedictory session of the virtual 5th International Conference on Emerging Global Trends in Accounting, Finance and Taxation. Thank you all for joining us back. Now I request Ms. Megha to introduce the guest of honor of the valedictory session, Mr. Dev Ram Narayan.
Mr. Dev Ram Narayan is a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountant UK, is an internationally experienced accountant and auditor with a proven track record of success within enterprise and entrepreneurial settings. His clients have included Citibank, Calumet, Augusta, Petrotrain, GlaxoSmithKline, and Trax USA. Mr. Dev now serves as a partner at Miami-based SMP, CPA by choice, where he oversees audit and assurance. He is also a founder of TrueTeam LLC, an enterprise-focused blockchain consultancy. Sir is an ACCA advocate who partners with various ACCA networks around the world to deliver content that informs and educates ACCA members. Topics include technology and audit, business effectiveness, and for students preparing for and passing the ACCA examinations. As a member of ACCA's Global Forum of Technology, Sir has presented to the Edinburgh Group on blockchain technology and its impact on the accounting profession. As a passionate advocate for the ACCA, he also speaks in university classrooms to articulate the value of the ACCA and encourage students to become ACCA member. Mr. Dev's passion to inspire, empower, and provide clarity to others lead him to partner with other accountants early in his career in creating the Trinidad-based Premium Accountancy Specialist School, PASS, and ACCA-approved learning partner. He is a presenter and lecturer, including ACCA courses on governance, communication, and international accounting and assurance standards. He mentors students, affiliates, and ACCA members globally. A speaker and coach on leadership and performance, Sir is currently documenting his coaching methodology, Quantum Leadership, with the intent to publish his first book in the coming year. Outside of the office, Sir is a self-taught pianist who plays and composes exclusively by ear. His compositions are intended to capture his life experiences in music for all to enjoy. A very hearty welcome, sir. We are privileged to have you among us, and I request you to kindly address the grand gathering.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me with you guys today. I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay, so thank you very much for the introduction and thank you for being here. One of my passions is to always advocate for the profession, being forward-looking in engaging with technology in the ways that technology has been transforming our profession. So, you know, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I always like engaging with folks from around the world, so feel free to add me on LinkedIn or on Twitter. So today, you know, we have a short bit of time here, so I'm going to focus on two things, looking at, you know, what's included in, you know, the digital agenda, and then dive in a little bit to some meaningful work and some research that has been presented by ACCA last year. So one of the things that we probably get an idea of right now is that literally the tides are turning. We've seen this shift happening last year more so than anything because of the pandemic and the push towards a digital agenda. I've seen personally a lot of new proofs of concept in the blockchain space getting accelerated in a way that was not being focused on before. I've seen people started becoming more adventurous in creating solutions that, we weren't thinking about before. Now, one of them, I'm not going to dive into each piece of technology. I'm just going to kind of mention them quickly before getting into a few of the types of position and how we prepare ourselves as accountants and finance professionals to really engage with and leverage the new technology. So the first one, which is kind of a buzz right now, you've seen a lot of hype in the crypto market because prices of cryptocurrencies are going up. But when we talk about blockchain technology, we're speaking about the technology that underlies cryptocurrency. And it brings together a number of things that make it very interesting to not just businesses, but also to the audit and accounting profession. And like it says here, it's a near instantaneous, immutable, continuously updating form of ledger that's programmable. And that's a lot in one sentence. But when you really think about what it makes possible, it have you really start rethinking, what we do as accountants and auditors. How would we need to transform the way that we do things presently to really be a part of this technological evolution? And data analytics, quite another buzzword that's out there. We see that there is a lot of transformation in the way information is analyzed and presented, and also the ability for organizations to make connection between data sets that they might not have known had any kind of connection. This, in most cases, has now become a sort of a full-time role for organizations to, understand the information that's available and get better information for decision making. Then robotics, we see a lot of this coming up, a lot of automation, a lot of, I recently worked with a client where we modernized their production facility by putting a lot of robotics along the production facility. And whilst it did eliminate some position, it also created some positions for people, who were responsible for ensuring that the robotic solutions were actually doing what it's designed to do. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, they're all coming out and being a big part of the evolution of the profession. IoT devices, if you wear an Apple Watch, you're wearing an IoT. It captures data, it communicates data back to another machine, let's say your cell phone, where data is stored on an app, for example. This will be an IoT device. And what I've been seeing is that where a lot of value gets added is where we combine pieces of technology. And then smart contracts. You may or may not have heard of smart contracts. It's a piece of self-executing code that sort of attaches on to blockchain. And if you're familiar with Excel, it's like putting a formula that says, if this happens, then do that. That's a simple way of sort of talking about a smart contract. And it goes beyond that because of the way it's designed and the way it can be programmed. Think about routine tasks like the calculation of taxes, for example. You could embed that into a smart contract that allow it to pull information from what we call from trusted sources called data oracles, which, for example, could be your government website that has the most recent tax rate or tax laws, and it could pull information out of that and embed it into a calculation. So I'm pointing these pieces of technology out to sort of say, a lot of what we do right now, even where we have different pieces of technology supporting it, is getting transformed. And we are well positioned to really leverage that and build out new positions in the profession. I have highlighted here a couple of, VChain is a blockchain company. They have a very robust supply chain solution, also an off-the-shelf solution that's available. A hospital in Cyprus recently did a blockchain-enabled health app where you could track your medical records, and they even recently experimented with having a COVID vaccine and having it validated and verified on blockchain as well. a few more items of in other parts of the world. You have music, you have a settlement company, and we're seeing these getting more and more mainstream. And as you may or may not have heard, the crypto space is evolving very quickly. So one of the largest exchanges, they're expected to IPO in the US here on April 14, Coinbase. And then I live in Miami, and the Miami Heat basketball team is resident out of what is currently known as the American Airlines Arena. And that's now being, the naming rights is now being given to a crypto exchange. So we're seeing more and more the acceptance of the crypto space becoming a thing. Now, I want to quickly go into something here, meaningful work in the digital profession, for the digital professional. Now, ACCA speak about something called the professional quotients. And the professional quotients are important because it sort of gives you that bird's eye view of what are the qualities the finance and accounting professionals should possess in this evolving world. And I strongly advise get onto ACCA website and pull up that report that they did with the professional quotients. It's a very good read, sort of puts into perspective what's expected of us as the world keeps evolving. Of experience, intelligent, vision, technical, ethical, creative, emotional, and digital. I'm not getting to all of those, but you know, I definitely think it would be worth it familiarizing yourself with it. Now, ACCA published a report last year that also talk about 5 career zones: the assurance advocate, the business transformer, the data navigator, the digital playmaker, and the sustainability trailblazer. You know, these career zones are very important because I believe it sort of puts the accountant and finance professional in a different mindset about how they think about where they want the trajectory of their career to go. Now, this report was published on July 14, 2020. The name of the report is Meaningful Work for the Digital Professional, Roadmap Beyond the Pandemic. I was a contributor to this article as well, and it's a very, very good article. I would say everybody that's on today, read it, get some insights from it, and also share it with those in your network. Now, in that report, we pointed out a number of evolving roles and future roles. So for example, we have a data translator, a robotic process automation manager, a cloud integrator, digital transformation lead, smart contract auditor, smart contract accountant. Now, some of these may sound familiar to you and some may not sound familiar. It may sound like it's not there yet, and that is true. For example, smart contract auditor, smart contract accountant, that's something that is sort of futuristic, but I see it becoming very relevant in the future when smart contracts become even more mainstream. And you see some sort of technological sounding roles, like for example, digital transformation lead or cloud integrator or robotics process automation manager. Now, what I want to point out here is that this does not mean always that you have to be a technology professional to lead some of these roles. Like for example, a digital transformation lead, a big part of that is understanding how the business works and what is important in your business. For example, if you were transforming your supply chain, one of the best persons that understand the supply chain end to end, maybe your accountant, maybe your CFO or your controller, and they will be well positioned to take on a role as a digital transformation lead, for example. So I don't want you to underestimate the fact that as accountant and finance professionals, some of these roles doesn't sound like it's for us. They all sound like they're for us because we're well positioned because of our ability to have core business understanding and to be able to bring a lot of value to cross-functional teams that may be in charge of transforming your business or business processes or that of your clients. So, most of these are important, but what I want to do, I'm just going to jump back to this slide here on the professional quotients. This is where I believe, we have the ability to set the stage set our mindset, create a vision for how we want our career to evolve, and then here inside of which area, so that you could now choose to expand and go beyond. So I want to say thank you everyone for giving me a few minutes to kind of talk about this. I would say, get onto ACCA's website, pull down that report, have a read of it. And I promise you'll get some insight that gives you some direction to further maximize your accounting and finance career. And with that, I want to say thank you and hand it back over to our host.
Thank you, Dr. Ramnarayan, for highlighting the professional quotients for success required for an accounting and a finance professional, and also highlighting on the currently evolving and future roles of these professions. Now, I request the delegates to pose any questions for Dr. Ramnarayan, sir, in case you have any. Kindly post in the chat box.
And if there's no question, I get these questions a lot, and I just want to quickly address them. One is, as a finance and accounting professional, should I continue to become a proper accountant, or should I switch careers? And what I always say to that is, if you're passionate about being an accountant, don't switch careers, because being an accounting professional is one of the best places to be in the technology space. So becoming qualified and then going on to get the relevant experience, you become a valuable team member, because a lot of what you bring to the table would have direct strategic decisions that's made around technology. So stay the course. It's a bright future for us as finance and accounting professionals.
Thank you, sir, for your time and sharing your views on the role of technology transforming the future of accountancy and finance. Thank you once again, sir.
Shilpa ma'am, there is one question in the chat box.
Yes.
Sir, if you don't mind.
Sir, there is one question by Kunal Srivastav Sarkar. Will AI drive whole process for fields like SCI, accounting, etc.?
That's a very interesting question, because one little subset of AI is machine learning. And with the way that machine learning is quickly evolving, I do see that there will be instances where, some form of AI is not just driving processes, but is able to learn and evolve and adapt processes. And even inside of that space, there's a huge role around process and data integrity that becomes important for finance professionals. So let's say, some form of AI takes over an entire process. What goes into that? What goes into the algorithm, the data that gets fed into that piece of machine learning, for example, now becomes of critical importance, because you want to make sure that what goes into that process has integrity. So I see, our roles as accountants and finance professionals would evolve to making sure that there's integrity with what goes into that process.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, delegate? Okay, thank you once again, sir. Now I request Dr. Narmada Kaldi, Assistant Professor, School of Commerce, Jain University, to present the conference report.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Dr. Narmada Kalli, Assistant Professor, Jain Deemed to be University, Bengaluru. I am here to present a valedictory report on the virtual international conference on emerging global trends in accounting, finance, and taxation. The conference started at 9:30 a.m. with a melodious rendition of prayers to Lord Vigneshwara and sought his blessing for the successful conference. Inaugural address was delivered by Dr. Dinesh Neelkant, Director, School of Commerce, Director, CMS Business School, Dean, Faculty of Management, Jain Deemed to be University. Sir appreciated the organizing team for taking up the contemporary topic for the conference. He highlighted that only when an organization generates money, the accounting and taxation follows. COVID has given us the challenge in generating money, so redefining of accounts, finance, and taxation becomes mandatory. He wished all entire participant best of luck with the anticipation of learning more on the topic from all of them. At 9:45, keynote address on the topic Future of Finance, Emerging Trends and Skills Required was delivered by Mr. Gaurav Kapoor, Head of Policy ACCA India. Mr. Gaurav Kapoor started in continuation of Dr. Dinesh highlights on deficiency of vitamin will impact not only on the organization but also how we are working. His focus was more on to passing the messages to youth. The world had changed and is changing continuously. Digital and analytics are new norms in every business. Since business is changing, careers are changing too, leading to continuous change in skill set required. Digital is not about the technology, but it's all about continuous reskilling. So we need to redefine to fit into this transformed or digital world. He also explained the forces of changes, transformation operating models, 20 trends in shaping of the careers in accountancy, and 5 zones of future career opportunities in accounting. The panel discussion started at 10 a.m. The theme of the panel discussion was the dynamics of re-engineering accounts, taxation, finance in the new normal. Moderator Ms. Asha Mergu is a Director Financial Accounting Services, Ernst & Young, Bengaluru. Started the session by introducing the panel members. The panel members were Dr. Rajesh Kumar, founder of Vittam Pravina Gurushala, which is a finance expert academy, Mr. Subbarayadu T, a co-founder of Entremasis Consulting, Mr. Pratik Mankad, a co-founder of World of Financial Reporting, Mr. Rohit Nahar, Senior Manager Ernst & Young. Dr. Rajesh Kumar started the discussion focusing on re-engineering requirements in academics. He highlighted that 3 stakeholders of academics are students, teachers, and management, and what is their contribution in changing environment. He gave a lot of insight on duration of graduation course, practical relevance of the subject studied, and also said the focus of academics should be shifted from exam orientation to relevance of the subject, citing an example that a person who has never studied taxation is still be able to manage filing a tax on his own is due to technology and adaptability. Miss Asha added to him, explained the concept by adding a beautiful story which gave an insight on how the practical application makes a difference in learning. Mr. Pratik Mankad started the conversation with a saying, new ways to be searched as the existing way is fading. Everything is digitalizing and we have no choice but to adopt. At present, the key trend is embrace oneself into technology and focus on upskilling ourselves continuously. To add to this, Ms. Asha added up and virtual auditing is the highest form of technological advancement in accounts, finance and taxation. Mr. Subbarayadu addressed on the importance of data privacy, security in finance and accounting. At current finance being handled online everywhere, one must understand the importance of data security, cyber security. It costs huge to the company if there is a data breach. It doesn't only affect the profit but also affect the brand and loyalty of the company. To this, Ms. Asha added an example of Facebook data crisis, how the data which is used as an asset has become a liability to the company when it breached the security. Mr. Rohit Nahar started with explanation. Expansion tax base is the new significant trend at present. He said online new norms are digitalized tax, audit online, filing tax online, and so on. The traditional tax functioning has drastically changed and every process is dependent on technology. We deal with a huge data, so one must learn technology at the present scenario. This was all about the panel discussion. The panel discussion ended at 12:30 p.m. followed by the lunch break. Research paper presentation commenced from 1 p.m. I would like to highlight that we received an excellent response from various authors of India and abroad for the paper call for the international conference. The track details are as follows. We had 3 tracks. Track 1 was accounts. Internal chairpersons for the accounts were Dr. Fatima and Dr. Vidya. External chairperson was Dr. Lalita Raman, Dean and HOD, Commerce and Management, Jyotinivas College, Bengaluru. The track 2 was finance. Internal chairpersons were Dr. Sateshwar and Ms. Ramya. External chairperson was Dr. Nagaraj, MS, who is presently associated with SSM RV College. Track 3 was tax, and the internal chairperson for the tracks were Dr. Guru Prasad and Ms. Jannat, and internal chairperson was Dr. Krishna BS, Associate Business Head, Diksha Integrated Bengaluru. At 4 p.m., we had a session by our guest of honor, Mr. Dev Narayani, on the topic Technology Transferring the Future of Accountancy and Finance. Sir focused on the topic pandemic has got a lot of changes, transferring the way we do things to adopt technology. To adopt technology is a prime focus now. He also spoke about data analytics, robotics, artificial intelligence, and IoT. The growing technology adoption has opened up more and more jobs for digital professionals. He focused more on how to go about ACCA certification. That is all about the day's report. I thank conference team for giving me an opportunity to read out the conference report. Over to you, Shilpa ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for summing up the entire day's sessions of the conference. Now, our Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ishwaran Iyer. We welcome you, sir. And now I request Ms. Megha to introduce our Pro Vice Chancellor, Jain deemed to be University, Dr. Ishwaran Iyer.
Good evening, sir. Dr. Ishwaran Iyer, Pro Vice Chancellor, Jain deemed to be University, Bangalore. Dr. Ishwaran Iyer, with 25 years of industry experience and 16 plus years of experience in academia, has been a master strategist in transforming businesses from winding up to the capacity of acquiring other similar businesses. He has traveled widely to West Asia, East Africa, and Southeast Asia. Hello?
Yeah, Megha ma'am, I guess we can just wait for 2 minutes because sir has logged out, I guess. Just wait for 2 minutes.
Sure,
Sir is joining, yeah.
Shilpa ma'am, meanwhile, participants can...
Participants, I request all of you to switch on your videos so that we can have a group photograph for the valedictory session.
Sir, audio join avale sir ungalde log out aichu sir. Okay, you are Dhiman sir, right?
Thank you all.
Hilpa ma'am?
Yes, sir. Sir has joined, sir.
Yeah, sir, join ma'am. You can start.
Now I request Ms. Megha Guru to introduce our Pro Vice Chancellor, Jain deemed to be University, Dr. Ishwaran Iyer.
Good evening, sir. Dr. Ishwaran Iyer, Pro Vice Chancellor, Jain deemed to be University, Bangalore. With 29 years of industry experience and 16 plus years of experience in academia, has been a master strategist in transforming business from winding up to the capacity of acquiring other similar businesses. He has traveled widely to West Asia, East Africa, and Southeast Asia, and UK with history of award-winning performances. His motto being making youngsters the leaders of tomorrow made him venture into the field of education sector in spite of being a CFO of a Fortune 500 promoted company, a double doctorate in management from India and USA, along with MPhil, MBA, PGDBM, PGDPM, MCOM, LLB, and an honors degree in BCom, summarizes the rich knowledge possessed by Dr. Ishwaran Iyer. His futuristic thinking enabled him to introduce Bachelor of Vocation (BVOC) courses accredited by UK Skill Federation and incorporating NSDC and Sector Skills India component into the content of the degree along with the general education component. Dr. Ishwaran Iyer has been bestowed with many noteworthy awards and recognitions. A few to be mentioned are Fellow of Chartered Management Institute UK, Assessor in the Revised Framework of NAC, External Examiner, MBA Programme of University of the West of Scotland, UK, for Imperial College of Business, Kandy and Colombo, Sri Lanka. Member of the Academic Advisory Committee of Apollo MedSkills Limited, Entrepreneurship Educator from IIMB and Stanford through NEN, conferred life membership of Insurance Institute of India, Mumbai through Bangalore and Insurance Institute, conferred life membership of Indian Accounting Association, Rotary Best Teacher Award for 2 consecutive years, member of Board of Studies MBA courses, Alagappa University, Karikudi, Tamil Nadu, grade and A+ University, graded full autonomy status by UGC and MHRD. Member of the Governing Board of DDE, Pondicherry University, MBA Twinning Program. Mentor of Jane X, Jane Dean to the University online platform. Member of various boards and Governing Council of JGI Group, Jane Dean to the University, Jane College. Competent communicator, Toastmaster International USA. Research guide for Indian and foreign universities and has successfully guided 14 scholars for award of PhD degree and 2 for MPhil. Member Advisory Board School of Branding and Advertisement, NMI MS University Mumbai. Member of the Industry Advisory Board for ISDC Global, UKI Nurture, Education Services Private Limited, SMI, Campus Student Housing, Aryan Group of Institution, Nepal. Dr. Ishwaran Iyer has co-authored 32 journal publications, 8 research publications, 2 books for BBA, and 3 study material for PG programs in management for Bangalore University with index journal or with ISSN or ISBN number. Addressed a webinar to 1,000 plus Indonesian faculties about innovation technologies methodology. A warm welcome to you, sir. Request you to address the gathering with your enlightening words.
Thank you very much, madam. My colleagues from the School of Commerce, participants for this webinar, a virtual webinar, the students and teachers who have presented papers. Prior to becoming the Pro Vice Chancellor, in fact, I started my journey into the Bhagwan Mahavir Jain College in the Department of Commerce, headed the entire academics of the School of Commerce, the Department of Business Studies, and started with a value-added program, and now I have become the Pro Vice Chancellor of the university. Today's webinar actually is on emerging trends, the global trends in finance, accounting, and taxation. Perhaps my background is more suited to this because I have an experience of both academics as well as industry. And I come from a generation where I have seen India as a backward country, India as a poor country, seen the industrial revolution in our country, the green revolution, then the globalization, in between the milk revolution, and now today we're talking from a poor country to the 7th wealthiest nation in the world. I have seen the growth of India, and perhaps I thought it would be good on my part to share my experiences instead of telling what you all would have undergone as a part of this webinar. To start with, if you look into finance, the conventional days in banking sector, it was totally different. You could go to a bank, take a card, and maybe a person like me could open 4 bank accounts. If my name was Ishwaran Subramaniam Iyer, I can open an account in the name of Ishwaran Subramaniam Iyer, ES Iyer, Iyer ES, and Iyer Ishwaran Subramaniam. But those was possible only on those days. And since we were a taxed country, a country which was governed more on licenses, these were an essential part of the business environment those days or the financial environment those days, because the necessity was based only on to evade the taxes, not to avoid. Therefore, everybody used to follow the same system, whether it was investment into the stock markets or whether it was going to do businesses. People had multiple accounts, multiple bank accounts, multiple accounts in the same bank or in the same branch. It was all possible. But then, yes, changes are required. I remember, if you look into the conventional accounting, which I have seen, because I studied entirely in Gujarat. I was born and brought up in Gujarat. Perhaps I have seen how Gujaratis, Marwadis, Sindhis, Memanis, they used to start their accounting. They used to follow a conventional, the Deshinama system, and it was called as a red ledger. At the end of the period, when the accounting period is over, they will think about what is the tax to be paid. Based on the tax, they will go into the receipt and payment account and then manage the expenses. Perhaps that is how I learned accountancy in my days of this. Perhaps, but whatever said and done, that Jama Udar Khata way of accounting was perhaps the basis on which the entire accounting system was born in our country. Then we had the Indian system of accounting. We had the Indian accounting concept. Yes, the double entry concept was there. What I was talking to you was the single entry concept. The double entry concept came. Indian accounting concepts came. Indian accounting conventions came. And then we had the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in association with those days it was called as the Central Board of Direct Taxes under the Ministry of Finance, formed the Indian accounting standards also. But coming to that, these things, if you see, you had the T type of accounting balance sheet also. The reports which used to happen those days had a different format. But those was possible in that country because we were still an underdeveloped country. We were growing. But I think it was the mid 80s where the seeds of globalization was sown. And people, they had money, people those days also had. But unfortunately, they didn't have that balances on their books to show. A man will be worth 1 crore, but in the books of account will not be even worth 10 lakhs of rupees. The reason is because we were a highly taxed country, a highly taxed economy. You had an excise duty, you had a CST, you had the sales tax, you had the panchayat tax, you had the municipality tax. Everywhere you had tax, and we were governed by taxes which was more than, if you calculate all the taxes together, it was around 70%. So people had to evade taxes. They had no other choice for them. It was perhaps that was the reason why one example, especially for teachers for commerce, I wanted to share. In those generations, I'm talking about a time when the corporate taxes used to be at 70%. It was brought down to 60%. That itself was a very big achievement. But non-convertible debentures was an expenditure when it came to claiming from a tax point of view. And it was Dhirubhai Ambani from Reliance who sold the idea of converting non-convertible share debentures into shares and luring the government and telling, why don't you allow us to convert the non-convertible, because you will get a lot of income, you'll get a lot of taxes in the form, because equities are all taxed. So he used to play around with the leverage of finance and debt, or equity and debt. He used to play around with that, and he came out with these novel concepts. But then these things helped Mukesh Ambani to reach where the Reliance today. Unfortunately, Anil Ambani was not able to do. But coming back to this, globalization showed the way to India that there is no other way than you need to compete with the globalized world. India had the talent, India had the capabilities, but perhaps the tax structure in the country was so complex that perhaps it is brought into those changes which was required. Perhaps it came only because of globalization. From a high tax country, the peak taxes came down to 30%. Even the income tax only people at a very high tax bracket they pay around 30 or 35% of tax. Otherwise, the peak tax is at 30%. And the necessity came, and that is how the concept of valuation was formed. Suddenly, you could see a Flipkart, you could see an Amazon, you could see Byju's coming. And these things were necessitated because the globalized world, especially the Western world, they were looking at how much worth you are into business. Today, Byju is valued at billions of dollars, and if he's able to take over Akash, I think that was the company he took over. So the face-to-face concept with an online, he wanted to have a blend of both. And he was valued and he was doing it and he gave only Byju's shares. But these concepts came because of globalization. And today from a teacher, I remember when I used to teach commerce, when I used to learn commerce, there were topics which was very common and that was the topics which you had to learn. Beyond that, there was no learning. At the same time, there was a fixed way of a trial balance. The balance sheet has to be, and the chartered accountant had a different way of reporting. But today things have changed. There is a corporate governance report, there is the CSR report, utilization of CSR is there, and the changes required for the changes which are important from a SEBI point of view, all were changes. The entire changes, if you see what has been brought as a part of the changes for accounting, finance or tax was done based on the global needs and India being one of the largest contributors to the knowledge sector. Therefore, whatever is being done today, whatever you are learning today, you as a teacher, you also need to adapt and understand because what I am sharing or what I am telling is what I had seen from the another emerging trend. What government of India did was one nation, one tax, GST. They consolidated everything together, brought all under one roof, except for customs duty. So that is how the emerging trend changed. And since we are in a globalized world, and since the norms of listing has changed, the norms of taxation has changed. I remember, I think many of you would have seen, government of India says that your PAN card has to be linked with your Aadhaar card number. Then along with the Aadhaar card number, your mobile has to be linked with your Aadhaar card number. Your mobile has to be linked with your PAN card number. I think if you go for a geo connection without your PAN card and with your Aadhaar card, they don't give connection. So these changes, what has come only because globalization brought in this. And rightly the topic what you have done today, the emerging trends in accounting, finance or tax, whatever you have done, definitely suits and is a need of the hour, need of the future. Coming back opportunity to understand and adhere and gear up to the need of the future. So we have almost been able to bring in programs like ACCA, CIMA, CMA, CGMA, CPA, EA, the related commerce, and perhaps when the teachers who are there with me like Srinivas, Nilima madam, and other colleagues of mine, they all of them today have been able to learn, relearn, unlearn, and again learn to see that they are adaptable to the need of the future. From an Indian reporting standards going to the international financial reporting standards, perhaps that change itself will know what are the emerging trends required for future. On behalf of Jain Deemed to be University, I would like to assure each and every participant as well as my colleagues that we are there to support all these causes what you are doing. Any inputs is required from the industry, any inputs is required from the professional bodies, any input is required from professionals. We are here to give you the guidance to see that you in turn learn, unlearn, and give it to the students so that they are ready to understand what is the need of the future. We are an university which believes in the concept of nation building. We believe in the concept of creating students to be nation builders and contribute to the GDP of our country. Therefore, I would like to congratulate each and every teacher who has contributed to this webinar, the virtual webinar. I would like to thank each and every panelist who has been there today and shared their experiences. I would like also to thank each and every participant who has taken time to present papers. And I would also like to congratulate in absentia, when I have to go for a meeting, the best paper, which I think our panelists would have selected and will declare who are the people who have been selected, whose papers have been selected. Congratulations, Nilima Madam and team. Congratulations, Shilpa Madam. Srinivas, congratulations to you. Congratulations, colleagues. May the best paper win the award, and at the same time, an assurance from the Jain Team to be University that we will be with you, we are with you, and we'll try to accommodate and help you and guide you as and when you require for learning yourself to face the challenges of tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for addressing the gathering. Sir, we would be honored if you announce the Best Paper Awards. It has been shared with you by Srinivas sir on WhatsApp.
Oh, I'll just see that, madam. 1 minute.
Yes, sir. So in the meanwhile, we welcome Shon Babu, Manager, Strategic Relations, ISTC India, who had immensely contributed to our conference at various instances. We welcome you, sir.
With your permission, can I start announcing, madam?
Yes, sir, please.
In the taxation track, analysis of effect of demographic variables on factors influence internet banking adoption, an empirical study. Miss Manisha Vijay Pawar, Dr. Niti Ubendra, Miss Sneha Jaswantlal Parmar. Congratulations. I also studied in the same university, madam, the Maharaja Sahajar of University of Baroda. Maybe you were not born that time. I did my BCom in 79, did my MCom in 81, and in 1984, I completed my law from that university. So the best paper in taxation goes to this team. The next, that's the first prize, I think. The second one is taxation track again. Exploration of the possibility of official websites and mobile apps, e-commerce, positivity. It goes to Mr. Javed S.J., Dr. Sejal Christian, and Sri D. Sejal Christian, DN, and Sri DN, Institute of PG Studies in Commerce, Anand. And in the accounting track, the prize goes to a study of performance analysis of selected cement companies using Z-score model, Mr. Hardik P. Dhamelia, Assistant Professor at RK University, Rajkot, pursuing PhD from the Department of Commerce, Saurashtra University. I think Baroda, Anand, and Rajkot, I think these three are the places where the prizes have gone. Congratulations. Perhaps the birth of commerce came from Gujarat only. I think if you see, since I was born and brought up there, I know what Gujarati's mentality is there, and they're born for doing business. And yes, it's fortunate that people like you are teachers and educating the students to face the challenges. Thank you and congratulations to the winners.
Thank you, sir, for doing the honors. Now, it's time to thank all the people who had directly, indirectly contributed to make this conference a success. On behalf of management and the principal office bearers of the university, director, heads of the departments, coordinators, faculty research cell Samshodhana, my fellow colleagues and participants, I thank one and all involved in making this event a success. I extend a heartfelt gratitude to the keynote speaker, Dr. Gaurav Kapoor, the moderator of the panel discussion, Ms. Asha Merugu, and the distinguished panelists, Dr. Rajesh Kumar, Mr. Subbaraidu, Mr. Pratik Mankad, and Mr. Rohit Nahar for a wonderful interactive panel discussion. Not to mention the session chairs of all the tracks and the guest of honor of the valedictory session, Mr. Dev Ram Narayan. Thank you all once again. And a special thanks to our Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ishwaran Iyer, for his continuous guidance, motivation, and support. Dear participants, the feedback link is posted in the chat box. I request all the delegates to fill it up. Thanking all of you once again. Signing off, this is Dr. Shilpa Sampath Kumar from School of Commerce, Jain Deemed to be University.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.